Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline. I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz. I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show. Today, we're excited to welcome interior designer Sara Hillery to the show. Her Richmond, Virginia firm blends function and one-of-a-kind decorative pieces to create story-driven rooms across the Southeast. She's been named a Next Wave designer by House Beautiful, has been featured in publications like Veranda, The Wall Street Journal, and Southern Living. And today, we're going to talk about transitional design, holiday decorating, and more. Sara, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And I know Liz and I, Taryn's not here today, but Liz and I are just loved pouring through your portfolio. And what really struck me about your rooms is that you do such a beautiful job combining antiques and kind of special pieces with more clean lined, real edited rooms. And it creates this real timeless space that is just really unique, but it feels like it could have been from any decade. So I really loved that about your work.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to make every project unique and tell the homeowner's story. But I think, somebody said, "Oh, all your projects look alike," and I remember going, "Really? I feel like they're all so different." But I guess there's like a thread of I would say that edited sort of balance between old and new that kind of runs through everything.
Yeah, your work starts off feeling very traditional, but then you're throwing twists in there. And there's a term that you use, transitional, which is a design style that I think is really fantastic. But do you think that you could explain it to our listeners so that they can have a better understanding of where traditional starts and then where transitional picks up?
Sure. So, I think this can be approached from different viewpoints depending on each designer and person's perspective. But for mine, I have a deep love of history and, as I mentioned, that storytelling for the clients. And so if we can provide a space that tells the start to sort of today or the finish, it's not really finished, but where we are in that story, that's part of that transition, right? We're not stuck in one period of time. And so it kind of boils down to a little bit of an eclectic mix sometimes. But a lot of my spaces, while layered, aren't overly, busy visually. And I think that is due to, as you mentioned, the edited quality, and so it's like it's peeling back the layers of the onion and leaving your favorite pieces there so that there's room for life to happen. And so that there's like these antique pieces. There's maybe something that's a little bit more modern in my spaces. And that's not always furniture. It could be moldings. It could be art. But it's not all, 1920 style or not all Art Deco. And that's what makes it transitional, is that it can span kind of through the decades and provide kind of an enduring and lasting style that, ultimately, if the client loves it, then it's always enduring, but that it can be enduring to other audiences visually.
Yeah, I saw a lot of like clean lined, especially in upholstery. It seemed like that is an area of maybe the design that you err on, a tapered arm, tuxedo arm, straight lines, something that's more clean. And I was curious what in your mind makes that push and pull of like a clean lined sofa or upholstery piece with an antique so compelling.
There is, I love detail. But if you have an overabundance of details, then it gets to be that nothing feels special. And so, sometimes just a simple track arm or a rolled arm can feel very at ease when paired with something that maybe is super organic next to it. And so that's where those clean lines, there's like this push and pull. I think because I have this art background, and there's one of my favorite art words is chiaroscuro, the positive and negative space. It's the same with line weights and shapes. And so if you kind of create this friction that's not overpowering but complementary in a room, then everything starts to feel harmonious and work together. And so I think that's why you see some very simple shapes mixed in my spaces. Again, something sometimes maybe more complex, or you can like start to appreciate the form of each piece, or the trim, or the light within its own right. When there's space around to really sit back and observe it.
The other thing that I was noting was just the color palette.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious how you think about color. Timelessness is so obviously it's sort of a priority, right? You want to design a space that is going to, be around for a while and that your clients can really live with and take even to the next house. And I was curious how you think about color. I often feel like color can be really specific to a certain time. So how do you there's always those colors that like you think of and you're like, oh yeah, that was that time. So how do you pick colors that are going to live outside of that? Or is that even something you think about,
I don't think about color as specific times. I'm certainly avocado green kind of is reminiscent of the 70s, and Williamsburg blue is, the 80s. But I don't think about it that way because I think what made those colors indicative of the certain decades is the overabundance of them. And if you are creating a space for your client and it's true to them, it shouldn't look like their neighbor's house at all.
Yeah.
And so I think, and I don't know in today's world if you're as much in jeopardy of going down that road, because we have things like social media and Instagram that show so many styles. And so I think everybody has access to so much more to help define what their personal taste and style is. So in terms of color, no, I don't think about it in terms of, oh, that color feels very 1990. And I think about it as what feels right for our client, and what does that space functionally supposed to do, and what color promotes that and creates that right mood for what's happening in there. And then I think it's also how you apply it, right? So if you wanted to use little floral patterns that were indicative of the 80s in the same scale, then that probably would. But if you mix it with something totally crazy and, orange or something that wasn't part of that stigma, then it doesn't feel the same anymore.
Looping back to styles, you mentioned that we have access to so many different styles and so many different things to see on Instagram and Pinterest. For our listeners that are looking to find their own style, do you have any advice on how to find their style, or pick two and start mixing, or ways to kind of figure all that out? Because it can be overwhelming.
It can. I would say do what I do. Even within our office, we have giant pinup boards. And when we're working on a space, I put everything that I want to see in a space and I pin it all up, and then I step back. And that's where it's like peeling that onion I mentioned. We start pulling things apart and saying, you know what, that doesn't work. This is too much. This feels harmonious over here, and this is a juxtaposition. And so when you start peeling back the layers, you get to the essence of what's really important in that space. And I think that's the best way to sort of define your style, is what can you live with? And before you run out to the store and go buy a bunch of stuff, live with it for a little while, in terms of imagery, and make sure that, tomorrow when you wake up, you still like it. Or hire a designer who can really tailor that for you. But I think it's about being smart and not impulsive.
So when you're doing that exercise, are you pinning up like inspiration images, fabrics, or like products that you're going to
All
shop
of it.
for?
Like right now, it's got wood samples on our board. We're working on a project. It's got magazine tear outs. It's got wallpaper. It's got trim. It's got textures. We've got everything pinned up because it's sometimes you need that imagery to say, remember, this is the look we're going for. This is the mood. This is the feel. And then these are the literal pieces that kind of pull that together. And then then I fold the fabrics, right? It's like, okay, here's a big piece, a big memo. But if it's going to be representative on a small pillow or something, we'll fold it to be really little and step back and say, okay, proportionately, how does that now feel? Because that changes how everything feels, is, how much color there is represented.
Sure. Oh, that makes so much sense. Like if you've got a big sort of like bold pattern and it's all up on your board and it takes up, 2/3 of the board, but then it's only going to be a pillow. You're just sort of
drown you in
skewing.
that.
Yeah.
That's right. And sometimes that bold pattern, maybe you still love it, but it feels like it's too much. And so then you can say, you know what? We are going to make it just that pillow. It's not going to be the drapery. It's not going to be the wallpaper. So it's just about being logical and methodical as you go through, but and creating that feel.
Mm-hmm.
You'll also see probably in some of my spaces, I love like monochromatic spaces. And so in that way, you can get away with mixing patterns kind of more liberally than when you're mixing color and pattern. Because it becomes about texture and scale and tones and that whole room. Like if it's all monochromatic and you've got all these parts and pieces, it still somehow feels harmonious and relaxing.
Yeah.
And that's actually a great way to start, That's some way that's how I start an outfit sometimes, right?
I wish I applied this to my wardrobe.
But I think about that when I think of, friends that I've talked to who have a whole color palette that they absolutely love and they don't know how to bring the whole thing in. But starting off with one color and starting off with something monochromatic and then kind of peppering a color in every now and again.
Changes
it's like
everything.
layering jewelry. It's
That's
like,
right.
adding some colorful shoes. Like,
When I love that idea about the monochromatic, and that makes sense what you're saying, especially when you're mixing styles, like it pulls it all together a little bit. I'm curious how you think about a monochromatic room connecting to other rooms.
Sure.
Like, are you going to do the same monochromatic color in the adjacent rooms? Do you mix it up room to room? And then how do you blend from one to the next?
No, if you have, I think the house would fall flat, quite honestly. And you don't want your dining room to feel the same as your living room, to feel the same as your kitchen. That it would I think it would be like you're sleeping through the house, at least for me. I don't know. It depends on the client. But I think it's about value and weight of color. So if, let's say we do a blue room, everybody seems to love blue and green these days. The room directly across from it does not need to be blue. It just needs to be tonally equal in weight visually. And that tone helps unite everything. And then the other thing we do is sometimes we'll say to a client, and fairly often actually, we would love for you to be able to take a chair from one room and put it in another chair and not look like it's the odd man out. So there should be a thread that unites each space, and it doesn't need to be large. It could be something as small as like the little welt on the back of a side chair. But there should be some sort of thread that runs and connects the neighboring spaces so that you can move things around in your house. Because, I guess I'm a creative background, so I move things in my house all the time. I can't stand for things not to be live and in motion. But for our clients too, because let's say you're doing a dining room, well, your everyday dining room, you probably aren't going to sit a table for 12 or 14 up every day, but you want to be able to grab chairs for when that happens and still have that room feel important and planned and not junky. And so you have to be able to pull extra chairs from the living room and side chairs maybe from your kitchen table and have them all work together. And so we think about those things and make sure that, okay, maybe it's not the same color, but when it's in here, it all works. And it's harmonious.
It's a great point you make about the rooms not matching. I love also, what you're saying about a thread, but I am curious, now open floor plans are so pervasive, and obviously there are a lot of reasons why, right? Like there's some convenience and we like the connection and all that stuff. But I do feel like that open floor plan has made it more common to where that's kind of, if someone's furnishing their own home, they kind of feel like they have to have the same color in all of those connecting spaces. So I'm curious, you're making a face. Explain how you think about rooms, like why you don't love that approach.
Well, again, it's like a painting. When you're doing a painting, I've got one behind me if you can, if you're watching, the color dances around the painting, and that's what keeps it exciting and keeps your interest, so that, you keep looking for certain things within it. If it was all one color or just, let's say, two colors, at some point you stop looking and it stops getting interesting, and then you get bored, and then it's not timeless anymore. And so you have to have variety, and it doesn't have to be much. We have a living room we did for a young couple here, and they wanted blue and green, and I wanted to put this lampshade in there with orange trim on it, and they said absolutely not. Well, guess what? We ended up putting the lampshade with the orange trim on it at the end because it needed it. You just have to add that little disruption that makes it interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that, but it really works and it's really fun in here. And that it doesn't have to be trim. It could be art. It could be a pillow. It could be, it doesn't have to be big. It could be a fun little china dish, or accessory, but the color needs to vary. And I think in these open floor plans, it doesn't, if you're scared to have the upholstery be different, start putting color on the ceiling and defining space that way, or paint the cabinetry a different color, or make the light, lights don't have to be brass, silver, and gold. There's different colors out there, and I paint them all the time when they're not the color I want them to be. So, start thinking of other places to put the color that make it exciting if you're not willing to put it in, in bold ways.
There was a fabulous room in your portfolio that I wanted to ask about. You have this gorgeous dining room, very traditional dining table, and you painted the chairs hot pink.
Yes.
And I think this is also a great example of what you're talking about, where you do have two colors. There's sort of a teal and a pink, but that you've sort of applied them in different ways. So in the dining room, it's on the ceiling and in some little accents. And then in the living room, it's more bold. It's there's more bold pink with a lighter blue. And in the breakfast room, you've got these turquoise drapes. So they're sort of similar colors, complementary colors, but
yes,
they're in different amounts and different, I guess, tones in different rooms. And so maybe just tell our listeners about that project a little bit and where the pink chairs came from.
Sure.
They're fabulous.
This client came to me. They had seen a show house I'd done with a pink kitchen. And they came to me and they said, "Man, we really like that color." And they lived on the river here in Virginia, and their house was boxy and you couldn't see the river until you got to the very back. So speaking of open concepts, we literally took down every wall on the first floor. And it is all open so that when you came in, the whole back of the house was glass, but you had no idea. So we decided to try to pull off the water theme and the flow idea. Because at the beginning of every project, we, not only every storytelling, but we're also like, how is this going to feel? What is it reminiscing? And so we played with the idea of the water. So in that space, because it's open concept, and we did take down all the walls so you could look outside, we tried to define the space through rugs and lighting. And in that dining room, those chairs were a family piece, and they would love to have held on to them, but they said they didn't care. And for someone who loves history, I was like, why don't we just paint them? And quite honestly, I have done 3 projects for this client since, I guess we're on our 4th. And those pink chairs are still so popular. Everybody loves them. And it's simple, right? It's taking something that's old. It was going to get passed down to, I don't even think her children wanted them at the time. So, it was going to be Goodwilled. And it felt
They're
like
very stylized and ornate.
Yeah,
chairs.
I felt like painting
It's like
them
a
was
Queen Anne chair.
fun.
Mm-hmm. And they are Barbie pink now. They are amazing.
Yeah. They're awesome. And then the ceiling, so we defined that ceiling by lacquering it. And, the idea there was the lacquer was playing off the sparkle in the water and the reflectivity. And then I don't know if you can see in the image, but there's also a mirrored wall, the one wall that backs up to the staircase, so that everything is trying to highlight the water.
Yeah.
I love that because you talk about these different things and they're all a little bit taboo, right? Like a mirrored wall and hot pink chairs. And, it's really amazing how you pull them all off and they still feel very sophisticated and traditional at the same time, which is really, really amazing.
Thank you.
We're recording this a little bit early, but we're getting into the holiday season. And Liz and I both noticed that you have some beautiful holiday decor on your Instagram. So we wanted to talk a little bit about holiday decorating because I am always curious about how people approach decorating. There's so many ways you can decorate for Christmas. I mean, I think the red and green is traditional, what people think of, but there are lots of different ways to add festive elements into your home. So I'm curious what you do and, kind of how you think or whether you think about holiday decorating when you're working with your clients and how you might suggest they add festive elements in while working with the scheme you've come up with.
So admittedly, I don't holiday decorate for clients, but I do it for myself. It takes a lot of work because I probably should have told you all this, but I do a different theme every year. So one day my attic really is going to fall in onto the bedrooms below. So I reinvent the wheel every year, so to speak, on what the theme is. And so I share that usually in blogs and things like that. And hopefully clients can pick up on it and readers can, then take those elements and spread it to their house. And I don't mind giving suggestions. And when we're designing a house, we make sure that we ask, are you going to decorate? Do you like wreaths? Do you like garland? Where do you like to put your tree? So that we have electrical where it needs to be and space for those elements during the holiday season. But in terms of the themes, I think red and green, I've done that. I've also done pink. I've done blue. This year it's pineapples. So it's just it's a great, fun way to be creative. And it's just for a very short amount of time. And you can have so much fun doing it. Ballard themselves has a great plethora of accessories and tableware that you can mix and match to create different feels. I have a lot of china, more than I ever should. Luckily, my mother does too. And so I'll borrow things for whatever the theme is that year or take it upon myself for why I need a whole nother set. But Tableware is an easy place to do it. The banister, you can vary that to some degree by what accessories you hang on it. I love real greenery. And so I just don't think there's anything better than that pine smell. So mixing it with pink ribbon. Last year we did the Nutcracker. So I had hot pink velvet ribbon and fuchsia running through my house. Unfortunately, I don't think I photographed it, but it was for my family and friends, and it was great. It was fun. We had little nutcrackers on the table, and everybody came as a theme. It's just there's so many ways to do it.
Okay. Oh, wait, pause. We need
to unpack here.
Yeah, we got a lot to discuss. So first up, when do you come up with a theme? Second of all, what are there things in your house that you're reusing every year, but just sort of reusing differently? Or are you getting like all new gear every year? Like, I want to know all of the details,
all the parts and pieces,
and how you pull this off.
Well, I've been in this house for over 10 years. So I do try to maintain some things. Like traditionally our stockings don't really change. The greenery is all fresh.
Traditionally, that means sometimes they do change.
Yes, I do have a couple.
You have multiple sets of stockings? That's fabulous.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it depends who you ask, right? I always, I love clients that have the needlepoint stockings that, their grandmother or their mother made. I think that's amazing. I never had the time for that, and I didn't have a mom who did that. So, I don't have that to display every year. So I have the decorating theme, and I hope my kids will bring that forward. But I do certain things. There is a historic home in Richmond. It's at the Maymont House here, and they do a Victorian Christmas. It was my favorite activity as a kid to go drink wassail and tour the house decorated for Christmas. And I remember they had Christmas cards strung on ribbon across the server in the hallway. And that was apparently a very common theme in the Victorian ages. So I do the same thing across my fireplace. So I take ribbon and I string it across the mantle, and I save them all. So I'm not cutting new ribbon every year. I've got a box, and every piece is rolled up in that Tupperware container, so I can pull it out and say, which color works with my theme this year? And then we hang all of our cards that we get from our friends and family, and it's in a space we see every day, and it just brings us such joy. And that's something that kind of happens no matter what the theme is. The fresh greenery on the banister that you mentioned, that we do. I have faux eucalyptus that I save like sprigs, and I do mix that in with the fresh greenery because I like to put it up as early as humanly possible to enjoy it, because it is a decent amount of work. And that keeps it looking fresh until the, wee ages. And then I have multiple trees. My kids each get a tree in their room for the holidays. We started with little baby ones. They've migrated to bigger ones. And they're all themed from candy to sports to, whatever it is they want. I like them to have that creativity themselves. So that those things I'll recycle, the faux elements. And I try to save the ribbons, but the decor itself, that changes. I have some swans from the Nutcracker theme that I'm like, I wonder how that's going to come back into play, but I save them.
So you might like take something that you used in a previous year and then work it into the theme.
Yes.
Years later.
Yes. I don't know how until like I'm in it, but that's just part of it.
So how early are you planning?
Oh, I start in the summer, definitely. Because if you wait till last minute and you have to pull off a new theme, it gets hairy. It's just too much going on.
You just start gathering items for that?
I don't know if I don't necessarily gather the items. I just create the plan so that I know I already have a good idea what my centerpieces are going to look like right now. Got some ideas for what the tree is going to look like. It's just knowing what you're doing is half the battle. You can find things as long as you have the plan in place. It's like design, right? When you work a plan, it's the chances of it succeeding are 10 times more likely than just winging it. And so there's an element of surprise, in the last minute hustle and bustle and just the fun of it, but it's pretty well planned.
So, what is your vision right now for pineapples, and how is that coming into your centerpiece?
Oh, Lordy. Okay. So I was on a recent trip to Bermuda, and I was reading all about the connection between Bermuda and Virginia over the years. And I was fascinated by this because I didn't know. I'm a history buff and I was clueless. So then anyway, I was like, how do we do something that's like tropical? And we've already done Vegas vacation as a theme. So I was trying to think of something that would be a little different. We kicked around the idea of Maliki Maka and doing Hawaiian shirts, which I think we're still going to incorporate that. So I'm still sort of fine-tuning the exact tie, but we have found through, the wild web of Pinterest, et cetera, ideas for incorporating pineapples and fresh fruits that would have been representative of some of the colonial story that tie Bermuda and Virginia together during that exploratory period. And then, some of it's probably cheesy. I don't know what to say. It's just going to be fun. We're home this year. We try to travel every other year, and I just wanted it to be exciting and something the kids would really enjoy. But there will not be blow-ups and probably no flamingos. I draw a line somewhere.
So okay, I love the theme idea. For someone that maybe isn't prepared for that level, what would you suggest as sort of like, in the same way that your own home, client homes are a mix of traditional and transitional, more contemporary, how do you feel like that can work in, like the same style can work in holiday decorating? Like, whether that's unusual color palettes. I love how you said you did pink, or sort of unexpected touches.
So I have a collection of silver bud vases, and those are very traditional. And I'll pull those out, and I'll put, maybe glass mercury ball ornaments on them that are colorful, or different, florals that are not expected, red and green, but maybe it's just going to Trader Joe's and seeing what kind of crazy color you can find at that time of year. There's easy ways to do it that don't involve a whole lot. And I think, mixing up the ribbons. If you're doing a banister, you can tie traditional bells on it, or you can tie, the nutcracker ornaments that I did last year. It doesn't have to be overdone, and sometimes a little goes a long way. And as I was describing the pineapples, no fear. When you walk in my house this year for the holidays, you're not going to see pineapples everywhere. It's just going to be hints of it throughout, because it has to be manageable. I still have a business to run, 3 children and dogs. It's just, we can't make it Disney World. That would be above my abilities and sanity.
Yeah. No, I'm sure, just based off of what I've seen you do for previous holidays and your current work, like I'm sure it's going to be the most tasteful.
Thank you. Most people are like, "You're gonna what?" We did a Christmas Carol theme one year, and so we pared everything down, and I didn't bring out all the ornaments, and we put candles on the tree and did green velvet ribbons, and we do a friend dinner, and that's themed, and so everybody had to come in, their best Dickens costume and attire, and we served turducken, and it's just
fabulous. I love that.
There's so many ways to have fun. Who was Scrooge? My husband was Scrooge in the nightgown. It was great.
That's so cute.
I say that to say, that the theme doesn't have to be all in your house. It can be in the, in the crowd that's there too.
Yeah. Well, I love that you took that like Dickens sort of vibe, but like you could have done, Christmas Carol themed ornaments, but instead you did just candles. That is so, that's what Liz is talking about, where it's the most elegant version of the theme.
Thank you.
Because that is a totally different vibe than Christmas Carol ornaments, which also could be super fun. But
yes.
Yeah. I love what you were saying about the Christmas cards on the mantle. Such a cute idea. And I always love, I don't know. I feel like there are Christmas card people and then there are not Christmas card people. No judgment to the not Christmas card people, but I am a Christmas card person. I love them, love looking at them, love looking at the previous years. It's the only time of year I get mail that I actually want.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea about stringing them from the mantle. That's super cute. And there's I think from a Southern Living where it's your house, right? This is your yeah. And you can kind of see. So we'll share that in the episode, but it's really pretty. Well, what other fun? What about Thanksgiving? You said you mentioned that you love to decorate a table. So what are some hosting sort of, tips or things you do when you're having a big crowd that make it easy to pull off hosting during a busy season?
Well, Thanksgiving is about friends and family, so it should not be as stressful. I think it is for some families, and I totally respect that. But I think everything about it should be about connecting and enjoying each other and not all this stuff. So at Thanksgiving, it's usually pared down. I still have, I don't host too many Thanksgivings because we're so blessed to have family that is alive. And so we travel a lot. But when I have, I mix the china, and so it's not so formal. It's much more relaxed. And I mix the patterns. That I think mixing the patterns keeps it from being overly formal and too precious to enjoy. But kind of approaching it the same way as I do Christmas parties. I pre-plan questions and I make everybody answer a question ahead of time so that there's easy, safe conversations that happen and you maybe learn something about someone next to you. Trying to make those, forge that conversation and just make those memories, the laughs that happen from the stories that are told. All of that happens in a relaxed environment. And so I think Thanksgiving should be simple. I have pumpkins, some that are glass, some that are made by my children in art class, and we group them together and create a collection, just like I do for clients. Collections. We sort of, if you pull it all together, it looks really fun. So I don't go quite as crazy at Thanksgiving, to be honest. It's supposed to be simple. It's like the calm before the storm.
Okay, explain the question. You say you pre-plan questions. Does that mean that the guest know the questions in advance?
Yes.
Okay.
I love, this is like my favorite thing when I'm hosting any kind of dinner party, whether it's friends, family, etc.
Do you text the question? Is it written on a hand card? How does one convey the question?
Everybody, and I have them send it in, and I'm the only one who knows.
Wait, they have to send it in? What do you mean?
They email me back.
Oh, okay.
So send it in to me.
Yeah.
They email me back, and I'll do different things. I'll make name cards that are one of their answers, because it's usually not one question, it's usually 10. And then I pick and choose. So if the answers for one of the questions are just not very exciting, I don't think it's going to be very thought-provoking, I'll ignore it and go to the ones that are. I'll do quizzes and you have to guess who said what, so that if you get all the points, you win a prize, or you get the honor of winning and knowing the people at the table the most.
So it did a card on the place card?
Sometimes I do. Yeah. So if you do place cards, so one of my questions one year, and this was not for Thanksgiving, this was for Christmas, was if you could be any name, or what's a name you wish you had been. Wait, I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I've done several. I've done what do you wish your name was? If you could name a boat, what would it be? And those become the place card holders. It's just, you just have fun with it. And then you have to find, you have to remember what you wrote down. That's sometimes half the battle for our ages. We're running so fast. Like, what did I write down? I don't know. I answered that at like midnight because I had to do it.
Okay. So if I answered like duck, duck, goose, I don't know where that
then it would say
from.
duck, duck, goose.
Then my name card would say duck, duck, goose. Yeah. And so I'd have to be like, oh, okay, that was the, okay. And so got it.
You get to,
okay. That is a good boat name.
Cute. That's cute. I've never heard that before, but that's fun.
Well,
so your place cards always have answers to questions on them.
Not always. We mix it up because if I did the same thing every year, it just wouldn't be that exciting. But there's always questions. And if it's a cocktail party, we might make it a quiz and you have to go around and meet people that you've never met before. If it's an intimate dinner, then the chances of you knowing the people are higher. So the questions are different and it's more of a written conversation, or I'll ask a question and we'll go around and talk about it and tell the stories behind it and why.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, this is so smart. You need to write a whole blog post about this. I could ask you follow-up questions for the next 20 minutes.
Oh, well, it's fun. And it's, it takes a little bit of time, and I think I've gotten a lot of feedback that it's one of my friends and family's, more memorable times. When
I'm sure. Anytime they get a dinner invite from you, it's a guaranteed yes, because they're like,
we try. We really try.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea. I love that. And then what about, do you get the kids involved in the guessing as well, in the quizzing, I guess, as well?
Like for family events, yes, admittedly, when it's my friends, and then we will tell the kids that they have to go to my parents' house.
It's a grown-up only dinner party.
Yeah, so, they do get involved on some level, but that's usually for just the more casual, not for the formal dinners that we do.
Okay, so like Christmas Eve dinner.
Yeah.
There's no quiz. This is more for like a holiday dinner party.
That's correct. Yes.
Got it.
Not every event can be planned that well. If I had more time, maybe, but I don't. Let's be realistic. I feel like I'm doing well to pull off one.
Does your family help you do the decorating, the thematic decorating?
My kids, absolutely. They've been begging to set up for Christmas, since a month ago. And I was like, guys, let's do Halloween first. We've got a few things before then. They get really into it. And they love to help me. I think, I don't know, hopefully that's a sign that what I'm doing will be carried forward and they'll enjoy that spirit. And when they leave me, sadly. But they do. They get involved. They are awesome helpers. All I have to do is talk about let's decorate for something. And they're usually like, I'll drop everything I've got going on. I can't wait. Let me go in that attic and dig it all out for you.
Incredible. Wait, paint a picture for us. Is it a multi-day experience?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any traditions while you're decorating, like hot cocoa or carols or anything to make it fun? Obviously, they think it's fun. So I'm curious what it is about the decorating that they enjoy.
It is fun. I've done different things. I don't have like one set in stone thing. A lot of times we'll do hot chocolate because it's usually pretty chilly here in Virginia by that time. My kids will do we did a Grinch theme. I guess was it 2 years ago? I can't remember. Anyway, they all got Grinch costumes to wear. So we were all, all dressed in green. So that part is exciting for them. Oh, it is. It is. And we have
a real green.
A lot of green. But we'll put on music, or we'll put on like a Christmas movie in the background. I wish I could say I light the fire every time because I love that part, but we have real wood burning fireplaces and sometimes it's just not quite the right time.
It's a bit of a headache.
But it does take a while. I usually am doing the greenery myself. Because I love live greens, that's the multi-day. You got to soak it. Then I spray it with the Endura spray from, the hardware store. Mm-hmm. And then we water the tree with, all the Miracle-Gro. One year we had pine cones growing on the tree by the end. I was like, man, this thing's never dying. So we do a lot.
How long do you soak your greenery for? So you buy the greenery,
usually
you soak
just
it in
overnight.
Tupperware?
Yeah, okay. I try and, if I'm really busy, sometimes I'll forget, but usually it's just overnight. And then I lay it out in the garland out in the driveway and spray it and leave that for a few hours. I mean,
and it dries. Like, so,
dry,
well,
'cause I
not
don't
dries
want
out, but
anything
like, it's not,
tacky.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to try that. I've never I've seen people do that on Instagram, of course, but I've never done it. I feel like that is something I need
I'll
to
be
do.
honest, I don't know if it actually is doing anything, but I'm so scared to like skip it and have it all die on me one year that I guess I'm superstitious in that way. I'm superstitious about my decorations, but not about sports. So,
fair. It's priorities.
Yeah.
Priorities.
And then you're adding Miracle-Gro to the water that you put the tree in?
Oh, yes,
I've
definitely.
never heard that.
Oh,
Brilliant.
If you have a live tree, you've got there's different versions of it out there, but Miracle-Gro is the one that's, I guess, probably most notable. But you just add a little bit every time you water it, and man, it keeps it alive, smelling good. You don't have to deal with all the needles dropping.
Genius. I've never done this.
I mean, I can't claim it. It's out there.
Yeah.
I found it. This is not something
I mean, duh. It seems like a no-brainer, but I've never thought to do that.
Yeah. It's like taking care of your upholstery and things in your house. If you're smart about it, it'll endure.
Now, your tree, is that same ornaments every year, or are they only to the theme that you've established?
No, I have I pull from the same collection. I don't buy special ornaments, but I might pick and choose from the collection I have.
Okay.
So, actually on the, I think my daughter gets a silver bell for every year. So I think I put her bells on the Scrooge tree that year. I have a huge collection of, glass balls that were my mom's, and they had the mercury lining, and so they're aged. Those usually come out every year in some fashion. So the decorative elements, I also have, my husband's from New Orleans, so we have probably more saints ornaments than you could shake a stick at, but those come out some years, not all years. So it just depends on what the theme is.
I love that. Okay, wait. Final question from me. Liz might have some extras, but where do you get your ribbon? You mentioned having a big tub of ribbon, and I find it so hard to find ribbon that is good.
That is why you start early.
Yeah. Okay, so where are you shopping at? Are you going to Michael's, or are you shopping online?
Etsy has really been probably my favorite provider of ribbon. You all actually have had some really nice thick wired ribbons in the past too, but you have to, I have to order a decent amount of it when you're changing your theme up. So it just depends. And like I've done plaid kind of traditional themes some years. And so finding that right, like tartan plaid that you want, you've got to buy in bulk. And so it takes a little bit of digging. I've also done Amazon where you can like buy and return if it's not quite right. We have a Hobby Lobby and a Michael's here that I've been to. But
spotty, though.
I haven't bought most of them from there, though. Etsy provides, like, I've got hand-dipped silk ribbons and velvet with frayed edges, and just depending on what the theme is and how relaxed it is, how formal it is. It just got silk ribbon, I've got cotton ribbon, I've got grosgrain in every size. So,
how many yards are you buying at one time?
Well, enough that if the theme, you've got enough to do the banister. Well, I've got 2 sterile. So it's 2 banisters, the tree, the wreaths, the front of the house, takes several yards.
Probably 20 to 30, I would think, at least.
Yeah, there used to be like wholesale, floral distributors that I could get it from, but it just seems to have like gone by the wayside. So I look for the big spools that have 30 yards on them, but they're harder and harder to find.
Well, I love hearing about all of your themes because that is so fun and unusual, but so exciting. And I can't wait to check them out on Instagram later this season. So we'll all have our eyes out for the pineapple theme.
I know. I've got to find palm plants and trees. So wish me luck. And as it gets colder, I don't know how that's going to be pulled off yet.
Well, we'll have an eye out. Sara, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, and see your work?
Yes, absolutely. So our business website is sarahhillery.com, and it's SARAHILLERY.com. And then Instagram is Sara Hillery Interior Design. It's a mouthful, but it's straightforward. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, this was really fun, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
Happy
decorating.